You got a nasty episode. What else have you got? Well, back to Fog Entertainment. It's time for Inmates, The Walking Dead, Season 4, Episode 10. We've left the prison behind after this episode, so the last episode can be called Inmates.
Au revoir to la prison.
Au revoir, oui, oui. We've got the debut of 3 massive characters going forward, and you know what? I know 2 of them last pretty much the series finale, and one lasts another decent while, but I just never viewed these 3 as anything more than C+ players.
Yeah, nah, for me, they came in, the extra bodies to the show. Never expected them to have a huge impact, and I wouldn't go as far as saying they have a huge impact, but they somehow make it to the final episode. One of them actually makes it to the end of the series, so no spoilers there, but yeah, they just never really delivered for me. And I think everyone that debuts from this point onwards in The Walking Dead, they fail to really get the same sort of connection,
that magic,
that the original cast had.
Yeah, if you look at the Survivor group, who actually joins and creates that? No one feels on that level ever again. I
would argue Herschel does, and Maggie. They feel like original characters.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about for these points.
But yeah,
Michonne joins. She feels up to that level.
But I feel like after Too Far Gone, there's no one that really comes into the show that kind of just has that sort of star, that A+ character kind of feel to them.
Yeah, unless you're a villain, I think,
And I think it's partly down to the fact the writing's went out the window. I think they've gave up in the writing. Well, not gave up, but the writing's not as good. They don't really care as much for character development anymore and storytelling and good dialogue. I think from this point onwards, The Walking Dead thinks more explosions, more walker kills, that equals better. That equals better episodes.
That's better television.
And it doesn't. But you have a lot of Walking Dead fans that simply think, well, because there was 200 walkers in this episode and there was only 10 walkers in the first couple of seasons, well, the later seasons are better. It's absolutely not.
Imagine being that fucking brain dead to think that, though.
But Trev's Chan 2, who is the biggest Walking Dead YouTube channel on YouTube, he literally did say that he thinks Season 6 is the best season ever due to the amount of walkers that we've seen in the first episode. He said that. He thinks the fact that we've seen thousands of walkers in the first episode makes that the best season ever. That's what he gave that the nod. He gave Season 6 the nod over Season 5 simply because of the amount of walkers Season 6 had.
I just don't get that, though. I mean, does that mean in Breaking Bad, if we see an episode with the most amount of drugs being cooked ever, it's the best episode? Sons, the most amount of bikes. Sopranos, the most amount of fucking ham that's in Tony's fridge ever seen. The Strain, the most amount of vampires. Lost, the amount of trees in that episode just made it the best. What the fuck is that logic? Who cares about the amount of walkers?
Yeah, I personally don't get it. What I do get, though, is this episode is split up into a quartet, really. We had 4 different segments, 4 different groups of core characters, and they all got roughly about 12 minutes each. So we'll go through it.
I think the worst one's first for me. The worst one is absolutely first. We've got Beth narrating a diary entry. Her and Daryl. I can't think of a worse combo.
I think I can actually, and it happens later on in this episode.
No, but I would agree with that, but I think they had the worst quarter of this episode.
I thought the only good quarter, to be honest, was the last quarter.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there can't be a worst. And I think this does nothing. It's just Daryl being depressed, right? Beth narrating, she yells at him, right? And then Daryl's like, let's go. Puts out the fire, follows Beth. Then that day they get their track. There's a few dead walkers and reanimated people there. Daryl kills him with the crossbow. Beth breaks down, and then Daryl looks at her as he walks away, and he's like, I pity her. And that's it. That is it. That's your 12 minutes. Boom. Seltzers. What else is there talk about with these 2?
Now, when they come across footprints and Beth assumes they belong to Luke or Molly, I'm asking who the heck's Luke or Molly? I really have no idea who those 2 are. Beth was adamant that they need to track and find others, whereas Daryl literally looked like he'd given up here. He didn't really want to do anything. I don't know what Daryl's problem was, but he seemed to have no interest in finding other people. So, yeah, it's just a weird combination. Daryl is literally acting... just as if he's given up. Daryl looks like he's given up.
It looks like he's given up, but it's just weird.
And you'd expect Daryl to be the one that is trying to, say to Beth, no, come on, your family's out there, we need to find them. But, I mean, it's the opposite way about.
Is it not crazy, though, how, easily this group gets split up? There was 20 of them, and here they are in about, 10 different groups.
Yeah, so that's it. Basically, Beth gets attacked by a walker. Daryl ends up saving her. He stabs it in the head. Well, she stabs it in the head after she holds it down. And then Daryl lifts her up and they just run off into the forest with Beth narrating more stuff about how her father says that they can't give up. So basically, she's continuing on in life for Herschel.
She's continuing on life. And
that was it. That was it for that part.
Yeah, for that part, the bloody site that they were near the train tracks with, turns out it was 2 kids for the prison that had died there. That's why Beth was so upset. Who cares? We didn't know these kids. I mean, did Beth even interact with these kids? I didn't see it. Did you see it?
No.
I thought she was just crying because, she's stuck with a boring bastard and her family's dead.
I didn't. Apparently, they were part of Carol's story time, but I don't really remember them. Up next, we move into the next group. It's the next story. It is Tyrese. He's with Lizzie and Mika. We see Tyrese walking ahead of them. Tyrese turns around, and I guess the big spoiler here is that he is holding baby Judith. At night falls, and they're trying to find a place to, I guess, rest for the night. But, I mean, come on, we're in the middle of the woods here. There's no real shelter.
Tyrese has definitely drawn the short straw here.
He has. Lizzie finds 2 bunnies and she just decides to kill them both, and they don't even eat them. I don't even think Tyrese is aware of these bunnies. She just decides she's going to kill them. Obviously, this kid is fucked up in the head. They find a grape tree later off, and they eat from it. Mika hears a noise and she ends up hurting Tyrese's arm or whatnot. So she runs off and Tyrese finds her, and Lizzie says don't shout at her, even though she literally caused the cut on his arm to open up. Mika apologizes, says she didn't mean it, says she's not strong, like Sasha. Or Tyrese compares her to Sasha, and then Lizzie says, "No, you're not. You're nothing like Sasha because you're still here, and she's gone." I mean, at this point, I just don't know how Tyrese is keeping his cool. He's stuck with these 2 fucking kids. One is, one's just really scared and a liability, to be honest. The other one's a fucking little psychopath, and he's got a baby in his hands as well. So, I mean, he really did draw the short straw here. He then puts them back to back. He hears noises. He goes to investigate it. Thinks it might be someone from the group. Turns out it's 2 men. One's called Christopher. The other one's Christopher's father. For some reason, he doesn't get a mention, even though he gets more lines. I think Christopher got 1 fucking word.
Yeah, he's poking them with a baseball bat.
So I don't know why Christopher gets a name and his father doesn't. But anyway, they try to fight off the walkers. Christopher gets eaten. His father gets bit on the neck, but manages to fight off the walker. Tyrese comes and takes them out, kills them, and then the father goes to, go and console his dead son, I guess. Tyrese then turns around and he sees Carol with the kids. So it turns out Carol saved the kids because Mika was shooting at something in the woods. Tyrese was trying to run back and save her, but it looks like Carol had already done that.
And of course, Tyrese doesn't know that Carol, in fact, killed Karen and David, so he's not going to... How much better would this have been, though? This dynamic, if he did know?
True. Well, he does find out later.
He does, but I just think it would actually have made this part so much more interesting. Just look at the rage that was on this guy's face back early this season.
But it's so fucking flawed because, I mean, what it really is, it's the fact that Tyrese is a good guy and Carol is a woman, and she's killed Karen and David, but Tyrese has to sort of forgive her because they can't really justify Tyrese beating the shit out of her and then still portraying him as a good guy. Even though I would argue he would be fucking within his right to, because this woman did burn down, his girlfriend. I think he'd be totally in the right to do that. Let's be real. If it was a man And if Carol was called, Carol was called, I don't know, Christopher for some reason, and it was a man that killed Karen, do you think that Tyrese would just simply forgive her?
Of course he wouldn't.
No, he'd be showering down with hammer blows on her head. But because it's a woman and they can't really, they can't have a man beat up a woman like that and portray him as the good guy. Well, they can, but they don't think they can because they would assume that's like a woman beater. But I mean, not really. If a woman commits a hideous crime, then I think it's only fair for a man to treat her, you know what I mean? Like treat her like you would a guy that commits a hideous crime.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they don't do that on TV.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't even get angry with her. I'm pretty sure.
Well, like he kind of he does,
he?
But he kind of like clenches his fist but doesn't do anything. Forgives her.
Fucking embarrassing, Tyrese, man.
Yeah.
You should have.
Anyway, that's that done. They move on. The guy
There's
tells
a sanctuary up the tracks.
Yeah, follow the tracks to safety. Well, didn't do too good for him. How the fuck did this guy and his son get cornered? They were cornered by about 5 walkers, but the tracks are very, very wide. I mean, they could have easily walked around. The walkers are slow. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not like they got caught in a dead end here. There's no logical reason why this guy and his son died here.
No, there's not.
Walkers are slow as fuck, yet for some reason these 5 walkers managed to corner.
And how many walkers are in the woods? Like, who are we trying to fucking kid?
Well, when there's red shots about, there's hundreds.
I know, that is the reality, right?
We move on to the next group, and it is Maggie, Bob, and Sasha.
Is this the worst one for you?
No, I think the worst one's the one we just seen.
Alright, fair enough.
Although this one, honestly, this one is not much better. I never really dug Maggie in season 3. Hasn't exactly done it for me in season 4. I never liked Sasha. And Bob, well, I thought he was okay, but
He's got a bit of wit about him.
he does. He's got something, but he's just not that exciting. He flirts a bit with Sasha. Maggie's like, right, well, I'm going to leave you two here. I'm going to go and find Glenn. She says that she couldn't find Beth, but she has to find Glenn. I mean, why couldn't she find Beth? Why is she giving up on finding Beth, but she thinks she can find Glenn?
Makes no sense.
I didn't really understand that.
Alright, and then you've also got, like, Sasha being like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to find your husband? You need to stick with me and Bob.
And do it. She says, oh, we need to find food and set up safety for the night. Would you not argue, right? The longer you don't find somebody, the harder it's going to be to find them.
Exactly.
I'd be putting all my efforts into finding them.
But realistically, if you're going to find anyone for the prison group, it's going to be straight after in that radius.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we'll find food, we'll set up shelter for a couple of weeks, then we'll go out and find people. That's very unlikely.
And
if you're going to find someone, it's going to be from that, you know what I mean?
Sasha's not even bored about Tyrese.
I don't get this.
He just wants to stick with, but you can't have a group with these two.
I mean, and I know you don't really want to attract walkers, like, but has anyone ever thought of, like, shouting? You know, like, is there was any, like, reaction? I mean, no.
Yeah, you could try that. I mean, they're easy to evade, and it's not like these 3 are red shirts, so
they should survive, but they track the bus, I guess. Maggie says she's seen the bus leave. They come across the bus. The bus is just parked in the middle of the road. Apparently, none of the refugees for the prison survived, but I mean, we don't know. Someone apparently died and reanimated after the bus got struck
by bullets.
But I'm just not buying that. I'm not buying that whatsoever. Even if a couple of people died, it would take them a while to reanimate. Wouldn't the people on the bus get fucking rid of them? Either you wouldn't throw them at the bus, or wouldn't you just get out the bus yourself and walk?
Is this?
But we find everybody who was on the bus dead in the bus. I mean, come on. Did every last person in the bus just sit in the bus until they got turned? I mean,
is this not the definition of a bus full of jobbers?
Like, well, it's probably the only way you could get away with it is having a bus full of nobodies die. No, but could you imagine if the bus was full like Rick, Carl, Michonne, Glenn? Could you imagine they killed off like fucking 12 members of the main cast this way?
I'd be mad.
I mean, and then, so Maggie's like, oh, I need to see if Glenn's in there. So they decide to let them out one at a time. I suggest that, why not just open the door and then back off and they can all come out at once? But no, they decide to try and let them out one at a time. And after a couple of times, the people in the bus break through. Not Tyrese. Bob couldn't hold the door any longer. They break out. They have to put them all down. Maggie gets in the bus. There's a guy from behind. He's got the same sort of shape as Glenn. He's got the same hairstyle as Glenn. He's got the same jet black Asian hair that all those Asians have. So yeah, they're trying to make you believe this is Glenn. It's not Glenn. No, Maggie stabs him, and then we hear she also threw someone who didn't look zombified off the bus as well. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if they were just dead, gunshot wound or something.
Yeah, she was dead. Shot to the head.
Then we... okay, then we had Bob mention something about these were good people. We didn't even know who they were, right? Let's be real.
You know, who's Bob trying to... Like, Beth's more than 2 kids we didn't know, and then here's these guys trying to hype
Well,
up
in
this
fairness,
bus.
like, I think I do know the kids at Beth's morning. I honestly don't know anybody on this fucking bus, if we're being completely
Like,
honest
this scene
here.
is just the definition of filler.
Yeah, and then we see Maggie obviously crying after she killed the guy that looks like Glenn, but it's not Glenn because that cries turns into like a laughter. Well, not laughter, more of a relief. And then we see Glenn. Glenn awakes in the prison. Prison's destroyed.
How did he end up here?
Yeah, he's dangling up like on the bridge over a mob of walkers. But the last time we seen Glenn, the guy could barely fucking walk.
And he wasn't anywhere near this.
So
The last time we seen Glenn, he looked at the bus drive off. So how did he end up on a gangway that's been destroyed?
So he must have went back into the prison and climbed up the stairs. And what would he have done that for? I just don't understand. It's not like an explosion sent him up there. Could he be dead? I just don't understand how Glenn got up here. But he did. He's hanging off like the edge. He manages to pull himself together. He goes into the prison. He looks for supplies. He gets like a riot shield that they use to get into the prison. And he gathers up everything he can. And then he decides he's going to make a break for it. He also gets a Molotov. He gets like a bottle. He's got like a lighter. He then makes his way out. And there's like 20 zombies in front of him. And instead of trying to go around them, he just goes through the middle. And I get it. You know, he's got this riot shield on. They can't really bite him. But I mean, why would you just
Why run the risk?
Why would you risk getting trapped in there or risk getting a finger or something bit? I mean, when you could easily try and avoid them. But he goes through the middle, manages to break free. He then sees Tara sitting in this little cage. Obviously, she's gave up and feeling sorry for herself.
You're just going to die?
Dejected after everything she's witnessed. She fell for the governor's, manipulation. She just watched her sister die. She's lost everything, pretty much. Probably feels guilty about Herschel and destroying everyone's lives. And, I mean, she also lost her girlfriend as well, who got shot in the head. So, it sucks to be Tara. Glenn then kills a walker and goes inside, locks himself inside. Has a quick conversation with her, takes her gun off her, counts her bullets. He notices that she didn't fire any shots. Tara apologised, says, yeah, I didn't do anything. I didn't realise that Brian was this madman. She says that she didn't know that he was going to kill the old man. And at this point, Glenn asks if it was Herschel. Tara replies, I'm sorry. So, yeah.
Herschel's dead. Glenn is found out here. A pretty decent reveal. He took it quite bad, understandably. He was very close with Herschel. Sad scene. But
they make their escape. Glenn manages to hold. They both do a decent job. They run down like the entrance of the prison, and they escape through the prison, and they get onto the I guess like a road. They come through the fields and they come onto a road. And I talked about in the last episode how we seen Herschel's reanimated head, and it was Michonne that put him down. I just think it would have been better if it was Glenn that put him down.
see, when these two were running out, could she not have been like, yeah, that's the old man, the head he cut off? And then Glenn was like, wait, Herschel? And then he looks at Herschel's head, looking back at him, something like that. Glenn just has way more of an emotional connect. And also, like, this, he doesn't know about the beheading, so I think him to actually see his head on the floor would be way more impactful than what happened with Michonne. But that's just us, isn't it?
Yep.
You know, Trevscan would say, oh, it was great. It was better seeing Herschel's reanimated head in episode 9 because, that added one more zombie to the count, didn't it? Stop the count, damn it. But yeah, Glenn manages to collapse after a small group of walkers attack. Tara takes them all downtown. But then there's a military truck. She's like, did you enjoy the show, assholes? Then Abraham and Eugene and Rosita climb out. The 3 comic book people appearing in the most comic book fashion, wasn't it?
Like, yeah, they just get out, they do a little pose, and
it's cringy.
And then you've just got the screenshot of them really standing there.
It's fucking
in front
cringy,
of the truck.
man.
And I think they copied the issue, the front page issue of the comics as well. So
no, it gets me though, right? Eugene's a shite bag, and Abraham wants to protect him. Why the fuck would he be getting it and like standing there like he's top man of the army?
Yeah, surely he'd say to Eugene, "See, you'll stay in the truck." But like I said, they wanted to copy the.
You got a nasty mouth. What else you got?
So yeah, that was it.
I think the final core was good, very good.
Yeah, it was a bit. I mean, I think Tara's probably one of the better characters in season 4, and I think Glenn's definitely better in season 4 than he was in 3. Glenn was, I don't know, I did not enjoy Glenn in season 3.
I know it would have been a lot more dragged out, right? But I just think if this whole episode was Glenn and Tara with these three and you maybe have their introduction, take a bit more into this, it just would have been much better. I think the other 3 stories, I think it just felt like 4 webisodes crashed into one.
Well, I mean, I get they're probably not going to give Glenn a full, but what even if they just shared Glenn and Tara with another group?
Yeah.
And split it into 2?
Well, I think Herschel, Carol, and the 2 kids is probably the other one that had like the most going for it. I mean, realistically, what did Daryl and Beth do, man? Honestly, they did nothing.
Well, since Maggie was looking for Glenn, maybe you could have merged that one in. Maggie, Bob, and Sasha.
True. I guess you could have did that, but here.
But it's just it was good. But I mean, each little group only got like 10 to 12 minutes, so it's like.
I mean, I've only watched this part of the show once, but you know, I never rated it, and watching it back, I think the exact same. I don't think this second half of season 4 is going to hold up much hope.
No, I don't think so. I am going in terms of rating. I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4. I think the final quarter is like a 7, maybe an 8.
Yeah, I enjoyed the final quarter, but
even with a cringy ending. But the other ones are just dragging it down. Honestly, see the Beth and Daryl one. I think that is like almost a 0. Just does nothing. And there's a reason why.
At least something happened in the Tyrese one.
Aye, Carol's return. Like, and you also get the reveal that Judith's still alive.
I mean, the Maggie and Daryl thing offered absolutely nothing. And I'm going to assume that the episode still is pretty much similar to it.
Yeah, I remember Daryl just cutting a rattlesnake open in it. But anyway, guys, it's a 4 out of 10 for us in Inmates. We'll be back next time out. I don't actually remember what the next episode's dedicated to, but hopefully it's a wee bit better than this one. So that's us signing
Claimed.
out.
I think we'll see the Claimers.
Oh, looking forward to that, guys.
Back to Rick. Will it be a full Rick episode, or will they incorporate every group? I hope so. I don't know. If they're incorporating every group, then it just doesn't really give each group that much time. But I think that's what they'll go back to now. I think next episode we might see. It depends. We'll have to wait and see.
That's the mystery of it, guys. But anyway, till next time. Peace.